What's going on, guys? Today I'm back with another H.A.T format replay review for you guys. If you're interested in sending in your H.A.T format replays, you can go down to the video description and find all the information on how to go about sending those in. Anyways, the matchup I have for you today, we have Air Falco, who is going to be on a Artifact Fairy deck, versus Bandit Keith, who is going to be on, I believe, Magical Explosion FTK, or Blasting the Ruins FTK. It might be a different version, but usually those are kind of intertwined with each other, so hopefully that is correct, but the only way to know for sure is to actually get into it, and this should hopefully be an interesting match. Anyways, it looks like Bandit Keith is going to win the rock, paper, scissors, which if on an FTK deck, they definitely are going to want to start this one out. Opening hands, we see Ignition, Christia, Trapstun, Sanctum, and Duality. A pretty solid hand here from Air Falco, and on the other side, we see Thunder Dragon, Toon Table of Contents, Into the Void, Thunder Dragon, and Into the Void. So a little unfortunate seeing the two copies of Thunder Dragon in the opener. The rest of the hand is pretty good, and they will get a draw for turn here, getting a copy of Broken Bamboo Sword, so they are on the Bamboo Sword package, which I'll go over as it comes up. The Broken Bamboo Sword basically is just an equip card, and it says the equipped monster gains 0 attack, but usually this is paired with the Golden Bamboo Sword, which will allow them to draw 2 cards. Hopefully we'll see it. Hopefully they'll be able to pull off this FTK so that you guys can actually see how it works, but let's see what happens. So here they're going to start their turn by activating Double Into the Void to draw 2 cards, getting a copy of Hand Destruction and Magical Explosion. So here I'll go over Magical Explosion real quick in case you guys aren't familiar with this. This card says activate only while you have no cards in your hand, which works with Into the Void because it will make them discard their hand during the end phase. And then it says inflict 200 damage to your opponent for each spell card in your graveyard. So the idea is to just basically cycle through your whole deck and then burn them out for game. So here, after that, we are going to see the Thunder Dragon activate, ditching itself to get that last copy of Thunder Dragon. After that, they can go and activate the Hand Destruction, making both players discard 2, so getting rid of double Thunder Dragon, and Air Falco is going to get rid of the copy of Christia and Trapstun, and then they're both going to draw 2 here. It looks like Bandit Keith gets a copy of Upstart Goblin and Magical Citadel of Endymion. And on the other side, we see Air Falco get that Breakthrough Skill and Ignition. After that, we're going to see Upstart activated, drawing into a copy of Royal Magical Library, which is very strong to see as quickly as possible, being able to normal summon it, and this having the effect that each time a spell card is activated, you place a spell counter on it. When it resolves, maximum 3, and you can remove 3 spell counters from this card to draw a card. Obviously, that is not a once per turn, a hard once per turn. After that, activating the Endymion, so it will get a counter, and then the Toon Tables to add another copy of Toon Tables. And from here, we are going to see the other Toon Tables activated, grabbing that other copy of Toon Tables, and now there are 3 counters, which they can go and remove to draw an additional card, getting another copy of the Citadel. And I guess I'll go over the Citadel real quickly. It's kind of similar to Royal Magical Library in a way. It says each time a spell card is activated, place 1 spell counter on this card when that spell resolves. If this card with a spell counter or counters is destroyed, place its spell counters on this card. And then once per turn, if you would activate a card effect by removing a spell counter or counters from a card you control, you can remove that many spell counters from this card instead. If this card would be destroyed, you can remove a spell counter from this card instead. So basically just being sort of a replacement type effect for the Royal Magical Library in a sense. And so moving forward, we see the Toon Tables now picking up a copy of Toon World. Usually this version will play the Toon World over, say, the Blue Eyes Toon Dragon, simply because it's another spell to get more counters. After that, we are going to see the Royal Magical Library activate, removing the counters from the Citadel here to get another draw, getting a copy of the Broken Bamboo Sword, activating the other Endymion here, and then activating the Broken Bamboo Sword, equipping to the Royal Magical Library, which is going to use its effect because it has 3 again to get a draw, getting a copy of Dark World Dealings. From here, Dark World Dealings is going to activate and draw into a copy of Royal Magical Library, and Air Falco will get a copy of Moral Tack. And from here, they're going to discard the Breakthrough skill, and Bandit Keith is going to get rid of that other copy of Royal Magical Library. After that, the Bamboo Sword is going to be equipped yet again to the Royal Magical Library, and now we are going to see the Royal Magical Library using its effect again to get another draw, getting another copy of Royal Magical Library before activating that copy of Toon World. Now, do keep in mind that this is the other copy of the Citadel, because this is kind of a soft once per turn, so they had already used the previous copy, and then when they activate another, they are able to use the replacement effect again. So just bear in mind that, as, you know, I'm sure someone might not know that and kind of get that a little confused there. But anyways, after that, we are seeing Toon World activating, which they are going to have to pay 1,000 life points to activate it, but it is another spell, so now this Royal Magical Library can activate again, getting another copy of Hand Destruction. And this is a little unfortunate that they are having to activate this to keep going and getting rid of the copy of Magical Explosion that they have in hand, though again, that's why I say a lot of these builds do play the things like Blasting the Ruins, or even they'll play the I'm forgetting the Tempest Magician. So that's also a possibility that this is all in this deck as well, but we will have to see here going. And Air Falco is going to discard Duality as well as the copy of Ignition, and Bandit Keith is obviously getting rid of their only 2 cards in hand. Here we are going to see Air Falco drawn to a copy of Beagle Tack and Soul Charge, and on the other side we see Bandit Keith get a copy of the Golden Bamboo Sword as well as the Spell Power Grasp. So real quick, the Golden Bamboo Sword says if you control a Bamboo Sword, equip spell, draw 2 cards, which obviously they do. And on the other side, and the other card, my apologies, is the Spell Power Grasp that says target 1 face-up card on the field that you can place a spell counter on. Place 1 spell counter on that target, then you can add 1 Spell Power Grasp from your deck to your hand, and you can only activate it once per turn, so kind of just a way to cycle through another spell in deck. And after that, we do see the Spell Power Grasp activated, and it's going to get another counter on the Royal Magical Library, as well as adding that other copy, and now they can use the Royal Magical Library and get an additional draw, getting another upstart, so not bad at all. After that, activating the Golden Bamboo Sword, getting a Dark World Dealings as well as another Golden Bamboo Sword, activating the Golden Bamboo Sword, drawing into a Dark World Dealings and upstart. After that, going and here we see the Dark World Dealings activated, and Air Falco gets a copy of DD Crow, and Bandit Keith gets a copy of Reload. Okay, interesting. And here discarding that copy of Spell Power Grasp, and Air Falco's thinking, and they're going to get rid of the copy of Moral Tack. After that, the Royal Magical Library can activate. I'm not sure if they missed putting some counters on there. The maximum is 3, and they kind of went through a bunch really quickly without activating that, but regardless, activating it now and getting another Golden Bamboo Sword, which they are going to activate, drawing a Terraforming and Double Summon. Kind of cool to see that. Double Summon is then going to be activated, and then Upstart's activated to draw a copy of Double Summon, and now the Royal Magical Library has 3 counters again, which they'll remove to get a copy of Reload. After that, activating the other copy of Double Summon, and let's see here, they're just kind of talking about it. Yeah, it's still just 1 additional summon, I believe. And it says you can play 2. Yes, my normal summons stay the same. Yep. Okay, and then here we do see Reload, which is going to say add all cards in your hand to the deck and then shuffle it. Then draw the same number of cards that you added to your deck. The cool thing about this is it is a quick play. The one thing is you have to put everything back. So unlike something like a Magical Mallet where you can pick certain cards, this one doesn't really give you that option. But anyways, putting everything back and then drawing into a Dark World Dealing, Summoner Monk, Terraforming, Plague Spreader Zombie. Oh, so they are on the Plague Spreader, so it would be assumed that they might be on some sort of Tempest FTK involved in this as well. Here, going and activating Dark World Dealings, drawing into Terraforming, and Air Falco gets a copy of Duality, and here the Plague Spreader is going to go to Graveyard, and Air Falco is going to get rid of that copy of Duality. After that, the Library is going to activate, getting a copy of Upstart. Upstart's activated, getting a copy of Into the Void's activated, getting a copy of Reload. Reload is going to activate, putting everything back, and this should be just about the end of this whole combo here, going and getting a copy of Summoner Monk, Terraforming, and Summoner Monk. And after that, we are going to see the Plague Spreader attempting to activate, putting back a copy of Summoner Monk. And from here, Air Falco is going to think, and they are going to DD Crow and hit the copy of Plague Spreader. and it looks like Bandit Keith is just going to scoop it up because they didn't have a way to do enough damage. They got rid of the copy of Magical Explosion, and from the looks of it, they definitely needed that to go off there. There definitely is that risk they run into playing cards like Dark World Dealings that's going to allow your opponent to draw cards, especially in hat format where Crow is somewhat relevant. Some decks will main it, some decks will choose to side it. If you're not maining it, usually you're siding it, so it's a little less likely to go off, though they really needed to get paired up against a deck like Mermail, for example, that probably wouldn't be on something like Crow, so playing against a deck like the Artifact Fairy deck that wants to play more hand traps in a lot of cases is kind of unfortunate for them, but here they will get another chance at making this actually work for them, as they will be able to start this game number 2 out yet again. Opening hands, we see Herald of Orange Light, Beagletack, Sanctum Ignition, and Caduceus. Really cool card that you don't see that often, but I think a lot of people in the decks like the Artifact Fairy deck want to play a little more artifacts so they can take advantage of cards like Herald of Orange Light, which is a very strong card. So here we are seeing the Caduceus here, and on the other side we see the Golden Bamboo Sword, Forbidden Dress, Dark World Dealings, Double Summon, and Broken Bamboo Sword. Here getting a draw for turn, getting a copy of Upstart, or did they not draw for turn there? Here going for the, oh, okay, I think they did catch it there. Going for the Dark World Dealings afterwards, getting a copy of Forbidden Dress, and then after that, it looks like Air Falco gets a copy of Soul Charge. Here we're going to see Bandit Keith getting rid of the copy of Forbidden Dress, and then Air Falco is going to get rid of a copy of Sanctum. Upstart Goblins activate, getting a copy of Broken Bamboo Sword, and just going to end phase and passing. So yeah, unfortunately not seeing a Royal Magical Library or any way to really get into it. That is one of the downsides and why FTKs somewhat do have a problem in hat format a lot of times, is they have to play a lot of cards that just aren't great on their own without specific cards. But anyways, let's see. Here, Air Falco gets a copy of Breakthrough Skill, and they are just going to set 3, pass it over to Bandit Keith, who gets a copy of Reload, so that is at least a way to put everything back. So here we are going to see them go and actually do that, drawing into Upstart, Into the Void, Blasting the Ruins, Magical Explosion, and Royal Magical Library. So now they are getting, you know, their cards to do burn damage, which usually you want to see these later on. But they did get the copy of Royal Magical Library, so depending on what they draw into with the Into the Void and Upstart, that could be pretty good for them here. Real quickly, Blasting the Ruins, which is the other card I mentioned, says you can only activate this card if there are 30 or more cards in your graveyard. Inflict 3,000 damage to your opponent's life points. So usually between these two cards, you can do enough damage, or if they're playing something maybe even like Life Equalizer, you get your opponent down to 3,000 life and then just burn them out with Blasting the Ruins. There's a lot of different ways you can actually go about that. Here we are going to see Upstart activate, getting a copy of the Endymion, and interesting that they chose to do that before normal summoning this. But anyways, let's keep it going. Normal summoning the Royal Magical Library, then activating the Endymion, activating Into the Void, getting a copy of Swords of Concealing Light. Very interesting to see that. And here we are going to see the breakthrough on the Royal Magical Library so that they can't get an additional draw. Here we see Bandit Keith set 2, because if not, the Into the Void would just discard everything. In the end phase, we see the Ignition activated, going and popping the Beagletack, and then, you know, setting a copy of Moraltack, going through that whole combo. And Bandit Keith is unfortunately going to just scoop it up. Not a whole lot they could really do there. I was really hoping we'd get to see this FTK kind of do its thing, as it's something we don't really get to see often. But hopefully, you know, I'll get another chance to actually take a look at this deck, either from this player or someone else, and let me know if that's something you guys would be interested in. I want to show off all the different FTKs at least once. I know sometimes they're not the most entertaining games to watch, but I think it's important to at least have an idea of what they do so you can be prepared for them in case you do get paired up against them and stuff like that. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it, comment any questions or videos you want to see in the future, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified anytime I put a new video out, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to go down to the video description to find out how you can send in your hat format replays. Whether you won or lost, if you thought the deck you or your opponent was playing was pretty cool, feel free to send that in. I'm sure a lot of people would love to see it. But anyways, guys, I will see you in the next video.